My name is Jimmy Morton, and once again I've been honored to ask to serve as your MC for the evening. Again, this one is very different. Normally we're in the field house. We're normally having a big time, big tables, big meal. This one's a little bit different, but thank you so much for your patience. The people that we're honoring on both sides of the stage, this is just as special to them as it could be, and I just appreciate the effort that the college found a way to do this safely so that we could be here to honor all of you. Let's have a quick word of prayer before we begin. Father, what a joy to come back to this place, to gather with these people and honor these folks that have invested their lives in excelling in their individual areas. Father, I just pray that this program is a time where you are honored, you are glorified. I thank you for this place. I cannot imagine the human I would be if it had not been for the people that poured their lives into my life. And I thank you for the chance to stand here and celebrate tonight with these honorees. Thank you. I pray for wisdom for the leadership of the college as they go through this pandemic and beyond. And Father, again, I just pray that you are glorified through every word spoken. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Well, tonight we're going to be recognizing and honoring some extremely very special people. Tonight our Alumnus of the Year we're honoring is Bill Dunlap. Our Alumni Service Award is Mr. Ken Coomes. We've got our Sports Hall of Fame inductees, Mr. Fields, Jerry Fields, Dwayne Green, Phyllis, Rhodes, Krebs, and Jeff Long. This is an outstanding collection of honorees. Also this year, we're doing some new things. We've got 2 new awards that the Alumni Association is presenting for the very first time. The first is the Young Alumnus of the Year, which will be given annually to a distinguished alumni under the age of 40. Cliff, that means we're out. Both of us are not going to be qualified. This is one we can't win. So tonight it's being presented for the first time. The first ever recipient is Dr. Christy Granberry Barrick. Barrick. I've known her entire life. I have known this child since she was born, and the most pressure I have tonight is getting her last name correct because it's just been Christy forever. So, the second award tonight is our first ever Foundation Alumni Hall of Fame Award. This award is the most prestigious award given out by the Foundation and the Alumni Association. And it won't necessarily be an annual thing. When there is someone deserving or someone honoring that needs to be honored, the award will be given. This award tonight is being presented for the first time, and it is just absolutely appropriate to one of my heroes, one of my mentors, one of the men who has been a part of every major decision in my life since I stepped foot on the Hines campus, Dr. Clyde Muse. But before we get to honoring this year's folks, we need to recognize any former award winners we have with us. If you'd please hold your applause until we've recognized everyone. In your programs that you're all holding, you'll look and you'll see the Alumni Service Award winners, the Alumnus of the Year, and also all the different classes for the Sports Hall of Fame. So if there are any former Alumnus of the Year in the audience, would you please stand? Any former Alumnus of the Year? All right. If there are any former Alumni Service Award winners in the audience, if you would please stand. I'm already standing. If you'll check your programs. Again, some of you may or may not know Cliff Nelson, but Cliff is an institution, and I won it 2 years before Cliff did, so that's the ongoing. Are there any of our former Sports Hall of Fame inductees here tonight? Are there any former Sports Hall of Fame? Thank you. Good to see you, Doug. Good to see you, sir. Thank you all for being here. Let's give them all a round of applause. I now want to introduce a person who needs zero introduction, the lady who from day one of the foundation was here and has worked tirelessly for many, many years to produce these events and these programs and to grow this foundation to the point that it's at today. Jackie, thank you. Jackie Granberry.
Thank you, Jimmy. I want to join with Jimmy in welcoming all of you here today. This is very different from what we've ever had in the past, but our number one goal is to keep all of our guests safe. So that's why we have gone to all the precautions. That's why we made you stand out in the cold weather. You know, they say corona is better outside. You don't get it as much. So all of that was on purpose to try to keep you as safe as we could. I too want to say congratulations to all of our honorees. Hinds has truly been blessed with some talented and supportive people. Thank you for continuing to remember the place that many of you got your start. I do want to recognize just a few special guests that are with us tonight. First of all, I don't know if he stood or not, but Dean Kirby, Senator Dean Kirby, if you'll raise your hand again, he was an Alumni Service Award recipient and is certainly a friend of Hinds in the legislature. And sitting right beside him is Mr. Earl Dean Rhodes, and Mr. Rhodes is chairman of our foundation board of directors. There may be other board members here. If there are, would you please stand? I know Ken Coomes is, and Jimmy Morton's on the foundation board, but we appreciate what all of you do. I want to recognize the executive leadership team of Hinds Community College. These are the people that work very closely with Dr. Vasic to make it all happen. So if you're on the executive leadership team, would you please stand up and let us recognize all of you? There you go. They're all kind of seated, I think, over this way. Thank you for all that you do. Now, as I just stood up here, I see 4 special people in the audience that I want to recognize. These are former coaches at Hinds, and they are coaches that weren't just here for a short while, but many of them for many years, and they have done a tremendous job putting our athletic department on the map. First of all is Coach Tom Shepard. Stand up, Coach. You need to stand up and take a bow. He started the soccer program at Hinds, and we are very happy to have him back with us. Thank you, Coach. Terry Black, where are you, Terry? Terry's right back here. Terry coached basketball and softball and I think a little of everything else in her tenure here at Hinds, and we're thankful for her. I think I see Rick Clark in the back. My eyes may not be good. Coach Clark, stand up. Coach Clark was the baseball coach that took our first ever team to the World Series. So Coach Clark. Now you're going to hear about this man a little bit later, but I want to recognize Coach Doug Fowler. Coach Fowler, if you'll stand, I'm going to get to talk more about you in a minute, but Coach Fowler was a football coach and I started our track program at Hinds. So thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you one other very special person. He is the 7th president of Hinds Community College, Dr. Stephen Vasic. Dr. Vasic came to us in July after having served as president of community colleges in Kansas and in Kentucky. He calls Mobile, Alabama his home. He served 7 years at East Mississippi Community College as their chief instructional officer, so he is no stranger to the Mississippi Community College system. I personally think our Board of Trustees did an outstanding job in bringing Dr. Vasic to Hinds. So at this time, Dr. Vasic, would you come forward?
Thank you, Mrs. Granberry. Well, good afternoon. I kept wanting to write good night when I was putting my notes together, and it just didn't seem right since we're not quite night yet. So what a pleasure it is to host you tonight for our alumni recognition event here at Hinds Community College. Whether this is your first time being here, your first time in a long time, or something in between, welcome back and welcome to Homecoming 2020. Obviously, and I won't rehash it again, but this is not the format that we would have preferred, right? Being able to look at people's faces is awfully so much more rewarding than what we've been doing lately. But we do have some strict protocols at Hinds. We have our Healthy at Hinds protocols, and I would ask you that when you're not able to social distance, if you would remain with your masks on. We also want to remind everybody to be sure to wash your hands. You know, the less we can keep our hands to ourselves, that's the better. But we're doing this because we want to keep you safe. The reality is we've had very minimal impact on our student body, our faculty and staff, or our guests thus far from COVID-19, and we want to keep it that way, and we want to keep you safe and healthy, so I appreciate your support with this. Now, alumni are the lifeblood of any higher education institution. They're essential if you're going to demonstrate the implicit mission of educating people for their better lives. You, as alumni, are our reflection to the community and to the world as well, a living testament to the quality of instruction here at Hinds Community College. Your physical and financial support of the college and our students is likewise critical. We need you to champion our vision, among others, to help us secure the resources to continue the legacy of the college, a legacy that is, in fact, your legacy. If you're an alumnus and you are not currently active in the Alumni Association, I am confident that Mrs. Granberry will be glad to talk with you and help you sign up today before you leave, because we do need every single one of you. Now, I'm very honored to serve as president of Hinds Community College. I am still new. I think I get to keep that for, well, there was a time when you got a year. I think COVID's moved it back to about 6 weeks, but I still think of myself as relatively new. I was excited to be able to come back home to Mississippi. I do consider this place home for us. And again, I was at a place that I really enjoyed being, but to come back to the greatest state and the greatest college was too great a lure for me. And so I feel very honored to be here. It's also a tremendous challenge, as you might well imagine. We're in the midst of a pandemic. We have enrollment challenges caused by the pandemic. We have budget challenges caused by the pandemic. I could go on and on about the pandemic. I won't. But to step in for a living legacy himself is also something of a challenge. And following President Emeritus Dr. Clyde Muse, no easy task, I will tell you. I don't claim to have the insight, the ability, or the experience that he brought to the office. We are entirely different people, but I am confident that in talking with him that our goal remains the same, and that's for Hinds Community College to put others before ourselves and improve our college every single day. And so we are on the same page when it comes to that. It's also fitting that Dr. Muse is being honored today as the inaugural recipient of the Foundation Alumni Hall of Fame Award for 4+ decades of service to this institution, and not just us, but to Mississippi and the entire nation. He's left behind a standard of excellence that remains daunting and exciting for all of us, but I'm also pleased to say that we are moving in that direction. And I'm pleased to share this moment with each one of you as we pay tribute to you, Dr. Muse. I also want to congratulate all of this year's honorees for your service, for your leadership, for your excellence in athletics, your excellence in the classroom, for serving as examples for others, both now and in the future. You're a select group, and the awards you're receiving were not determined lightly. I had to read through all of your applications, believe me, it was not done lightly. There are many nominees, there are many worthy candidates, but you all clearly distinguished yourselves from others, and you should take great satisfaction and inspiration in knowing the high regard in which you are held. I got to talk with you all a little bit briefly before the ceremony. I have not had the opportunity to really visit with you and get to know you as much as I would have liked, probably because I haven't been able to travel very much. But I do look forward to it, and I look forward to that with you as well, those of you with whom I've not had an opportunity to visit. Because the reality is the one commodity that we can't replicate is time, and so it will take time. But that is my goal, to ultimately get to have a meaningful relationship with each of you. My fervent hope is that my service to Hinds Community College is going to last for many years to come. And in that time, I pledge to work with you, to see the institution be different, better, and purposeful in all of our endeavors. Did I say I need you? Because I do. Thank you again for your attendance. Families of the honorees, that is especially true for you. I can only imagine that Thursday at 4 o'clock was not the most convenient time in the world, but I want to tell you that the effort is not lost on us, and it certainly isn't lost on your loved ones who are here today, so thank you for being here. And now, we'll continue with today's program. Please enjoy, and thank you once again.
Well, of course, I missed recognizing one of my favorite coaches, and that's Coach George McQuitter. Coach McQuitter, I know you're here. I saw you in the hallway, but I have not seen you in here, and that's why I missed you a while ago. Coach McQuitter was a part of the Utica Junior College baseball team. He was the head coach when Utica and Hinds merged together, and he and Coach Clark put together an outstanding team. And Coach McQuitter's in our Sports Hall of Fame, and we're real proud to have him back with us too.
One of my favorite coaches is sitting out there. Never got to play for him, but Gene Murphy is also out there, one of the great coaches. So good to see you, Gene. All right, we are pleased tonight to be recognizing, as I said earlier, these very special people. At the conclusion of your introduction, all the introductions will be done by video. At the conclusion of the introduction, if you would make your way up here to be recognized, just make your way to the podium. That would be great. So here we go.
Bill Dunlap, a Webster County native, graduated from Hines in 1964, then earned a bachelor's degree from Mississippi College and a master's degree in fine arts from the University of Mississippi. He began his career in art education in 1970 at Appalachian State University in North Carolina. He has also taught at Memphis State University and has lectured on art at universities and professional conferences nationwide while working as an exhibiting artist. Since 1988, he has been an arts commentator at WETA-TV, the PBS affiliate in Washington, D.C., where he has also hosted the network's Emmy Award-winning cultural roundtable show, Around Town. His work has been exhibited internationally and has been included in numerous public and private collections, including the Lauren Rogers Museum in Laurel, the Mississippi Museum of Art, Ogden Museum of Southern Art in New Orleans, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, the National Gallery of Art in D.C., the State Department, and U.S. embassies around the world. His awards and honors include those from the Danforth, Rockefeller, Lilla Wallace, and Warhol Foundations, the Mississippi Institute of Arts and Letters, and the Mississippi Governor's Award for Excellence in Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2020 Alumnus of the Year, Bill Dunlap.
Because of some significant health challenges, Mr. Dunlap was not able to travel to be with us tonight, but he has a few words he would like to share.
Dr. Muse, faculty, students, and other members of the Hines Community College family, I can't tell you how charmed I am to be selected as your Alumni of the Year for 2020. One of the reasons, of course, is that I never miss an opportunity to say something about Hines and the 3 years I spent there. It was a very positive experience on every level. I was a student at Hines Community College, or Hines Junior College as we called it then, 1962, 63, 63, and 64. Then I went on to Belhaven and to Mississippi College and finally ended up at Ole Miss, where I came out in 69 like a feral animal with a MFA. I taught art at Hines. You can only coach it, rather. Actually, I didn't really teach it because there is no teaching. There's only coaching art from 1969 to 1970. And Ms. Denson was there. It was really an extraordinary experience to work with someone who'd been such a positive influence on me. Coach Roseman, Coach Renfro were still around. And of course, Al Rowan, who was our great band director. He was in the last year of his life. And I loved being with and around him again, So the Hines Junior College experience was positive on so many levels. And after that, I went to the mountains of North Carolina and taught art at Appalachian State University with two of my best professors from Ole Miss. Also on the faculty there were Larry Edwards and Warren Dennis, who were from Louisville, Mississippi, and Clarksdale, respectively. I've learned a long time ago that as far as Mississippi is concerned, you might go away, but you can never get away. And I have since 1979, 1980, been a working artist. I just make art and float it out into the world, and occasionally someone acquires it or says something nice about it, and it goes into several kinds of collections. And that's worked out very, very well for me. I feel strongly about the state of Mississippi and the fact that it's produced so many artists and writers and musicians. And almost to a man or woman, these people have done what they've done, not because of the institutions of higher education, but in spite of them. I am the exception to that rule. I consider myself totally a product of the university system. And Hines got me started in a big way. And I appreciate everything you all have done for me and what you're doing for the citizens of the counties that you serve and for the state of Mississippi. And I'm charmed to be so selected as your Alumni of the Year. I'll try not to embarrass you.
Ken Coomes, a native of Vicksburg. is the owner of Coomes Distributors Incorporated in Brandon, operating primarily in snack food vending. The company has annual revenues of more than $1.5 million. A member of the Hinds Community College Foundation Board of Directors, Coomes' support for Hinds has ensured educational opportunities for many. Already the benefactor for the Ken Coomes Endowment Scholarship, he has provided another scholarship in memory of his mother following her death in 2018. His participation in events to raise funds for scholarships through the Hinds Community College Foundation include placing teams each year in 2 golf tournament fundraisers, the Golf Fun Fest at Eagle Ridge and the Clyde, Donnell, and Othel Men Drop Memorial Tournament at Clear Creek in Warren County. His support has extended to the Rankin campus in particular, as for years he has provided support that has fostered the campus growth, primarily the Second Career and Technical Center. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2020 Alumni Service Award recipient, Ken Coomes.
Dr. Basic, Dr. Muse, Jackie, all you fine folks, I'd like to say thank you for this award. I'm not a very good speaker, but I'm touched, and I appreciate everything. I do want to say a special thanks to Jimmy Smith. He's a dear friend of mine. We started 30 years ago in Rankin County, and he's the one that nominated me, and I appreciate it. And Dr. Muse, you know, over 30 years, we've seen a lot of lives change, And I'm going to steal a line from somebody, but I can tell you now, the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Dr. Christy Granberry Barrick grew up on and around the Raymond campus of Hinds Community College. While at Hinds, she was a 2-year starter on the softball team and was involved in Phi Theta Kappa and the Baptist Student Union. She also was a member of Hinds Connection, the college's student public relations and recruiting group. After graduating from Hinds magna cum laude in 2005, she earned a bachelor's degree in nursing from Delta State University, also graduating magna cum laude there in 2008. She earned her master's and doctorate degrees from the University of Mississippi Medical Center. She is currently an acute care nurse practitioner at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, where she manages critically ill trauma and surgery patients at the state's only Level 1 trauma center. She has authored and implemented new protocols at UMMC for the care of ICU patients. She has authored 3 publications and has presented at a national conference this year. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2020 Young Alumnus of the Year, Dr. Christy Granberry Barrick.
First, I want to start by saying how thankful and honored I am to receive this award. Hinds has always been a special place to me. I had the opportunity to be a part of Hinds since I was born. I pretty much thought that I was a Hinds Connection member around the age of 5. Most people get to experience Hinds for 2 years, but for me, it's been more like 20. 4 of those years, I was actually enrolled in school here. I became a student in Hinds my junior year of high school by taking college algebra on campus at night. I was literally the poster child for dual enrollment, which I really hope all those postcards with me wearing my high school basketball uniform, talking on my flip phone, have all been lost. Once I came to Hinds as a freshman, I became a real member of Hinds Connection. Hinds Connection taught me so many life skills that I still use today. The experiences I had at Hinds prepared me to be successful. As I watched the video, I realized there are many things that I have done, but these would never have been possible on my own. To start, I was blessed to have the most amazing parents who instilled in me Christian values. I assume most people in this room know my mother, Jackie Granberry. She has always had a love for Hinds and a desire to make it the best place it could be. Her work ethic is something that I've always admired and have tried to emulate. My dad, Kenny, or as my kids know him as Grump, is my biggest supporter, who definitely passed along his competitive nature. I was once told there was no way that I would get all my data collection done to finish my scholarly project in my doctorate by May, to graduate by May. Telling me I couldn't do something was my biggest motivator. I did graduate that May. Thanks, Dad. Mom and Dad, I love you both. At Hines, I had some of the best professors of my college career. To name a few, Jason Webb, Ms. Feaster, Ms. Fatherly. I also want to thank Reggie Harris, Jay Allen, who I realize is no longer here and is a trader at Itawamba, but Jackie Jackson, and Coach Terry Black, all who have molded me to allow me to get where I am today. To Dr. Muse, thank you for loving me. I would imagine most people don't thank their college president for loving them, but that's always how he's made me feel. I've always known how proud of me you are. To share this stage with you tonight is a great honor that I will never forget. At UMMC, I've been blessed to have mentors that have truly cared about me and my successes. Dr. Michelle Palokas and Dr. Janet Harris have spent countless hours reading, editing, rereading, re-editing, on and on for my publications. To my family, Dustin, Riley, and Cooper. Trust me, these last few years haven't been easy. The first year of my doctorate was the last year of Dustin's master's program, all with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old at home. He has always picked up the slack and supported me in every way. I mention all these names because so many people have helped me get to where I am today. There are so many more, but Mama threatened me not to go over my time. So as a gratitude to all of them, all of you, I want to say thank you for each and everything you've done to help me along the way. Thank you to the committee for selecting me for this honor. No one will ever appreciate it as much as I do tonight. Thank you to Belinda Allen, who nominated me. Hines will always be a special place to me, and I'm proud to be this year's recipient. Thank you.
Dr. Clyde Muse. After a long and distinguished career serving Mississippi education and 42 years as Hines Community College leader, President Emeritus Dr. Clyde Muse retired on June 30th. He became president of Hines on July 1st, 1978, and under his leadership, the college flourished with an expansion of programs, facilities, and campuses. Dr. Muse's accomplishments over the years are legend. He led the state's largest community college with 6 locations spread through 5 counties, making Hines a name brand throughout the country. Beginning early in his tenure, he fostered an ambitious building program that led to 2 new campuses and additional facilities at all campuses. He has been a cheerleader for workforce training, not just at Hines, but at all 15 community colleges, through his tireless efforts at the state capitol, working with 5 governors, not to mention other state leaders. His dedication to providing opportunities to students inspired the creation of the Hines Community College Foundation as a vehicle to accept donations. Years later, the foundation was the means to raise money to replace Kane Hall, lost to a fire in 1998. The new Kane Cochran Hall stands as a symbol of the foundation's importance to the college and Dr. Muse's foresight. The foundation sponsored the Celebrating the Muse Legacy Luncheon on February 20th, a fundraiser for the Muse Legacy Endowment that will support projects dear to Dr. Muse's heart: scholarships, faculty and staff development, and community service. Ladies and gentlemen, our first ever inductee into the Hines Community College Foundation Alumni Hall of Fame, Dr. Clyde Muse.
Dr. Muse, your legacy will live on many, 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 many years, and it is an honor tonight to be a part of celebrating your legacy here with this first ever award. So if you'll make your way over to the podium.
Thank you, Jimmy. You know, 1978, in a cane hall that was located right here on this same place that Cane Cochran is, I was introduced to the Hines Junior College family. And during the 42 years that I've served as president here, it was a great experience. To many of the people that are being honored tonight, I was pleased to be the president here as they came through school. So when the Alumni Association decided that they wanted to name this award in my honor, I certainly was well pleased. I know that there are many others that deserve this award more than I do, but there's none other that would have appreciated it any more than I do. So it's a great honor because it's been a privilege for me to serve you and to serve others during this period of time. I've got to meet and to learn and to love so many people in this community that are continuing to do that. Someone asked me the other day how I was enjoying retirement. I said, well, every day's Saturday except Sunday, which I am enjoying it very much. And in the background was a picture of the new office that Hines has provided me over at Eagle Ridge. And thanks to Renee and Jackie, they really fixed it up nice, and I'm enjoying it. I'm over there Monday through Thursday mornings, and any time that you can, please come by and visit with me. I'd be happy to do that. The thing that I guess that I've enjoyed the most has been the people, particularly my students. And as Christy said, you can see the fact that I really was involved in my students because I wanted them to have the best opportunity to have a good life. Because I knew that many coming here were in the same boat that I was when I went to East Central. I didn't have a dime when I went to East Central. I had to find a way to work and to play sports and get through the 4 years of college. So I know and understand what it is to not come from a family that had plenty of money. And I knew that when I was offered this job, I was superintendent of schools in Meridian at that time, that if I came, I was going to have that same opportunity that was given me when I left Sebastopol High School to go to East Central at Decatur. There's no greater calling that any of us have, and that is an opportunity to be of service to others. And you have that opportunity if you work in a community college. And it was my privilege to work here that period of time. And I really appreciate all the nice things that have been said and done. I join with Jackie and also congratulating our Board of Trustees on selecting Dr. Vasic. I've enjoyed working with him and trying to do my best to serve in any way that I can to help him be successful. So I look forward to the years ahead, and thanks again to the Alumni Association for your selection.
Hold on just 1 minute, Dr. Muse. You're being the inaugural recipient of the Foundation Alumni Hall of Fame Award, and from thenceforth forward it will be named after him as most fitting. And I am so pleased the committee chose you for your recognition. I am also pleased that we have an opportunity today to do something that we had planned to do in May. Today, I present you with 2 books which contain letters and cards from over 140 people. They all have a common theme, thanking you for the impact that you had on their lives and wishing you well in retirement. I hope you will be able to kick back some and enjoy reading through all these testaments to your servant leadership and the tremendous impact that you have had on so many lives for your 68 years of service. Thank you, Dr. Muse.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to take these for you, they're heavy.
Those were some outstanding recipients. Would you join me one more time in giving a round of applause for these honored on this side? Congratulations, alumni recipients. You are looking at a man of faith, okay? You're looking at a man of faith because I absolutely believe that I'm fixing to begin now with the other side of the podium, and we're going to start with the Hall of Fame award winners. And my faith is that I'm going to turn around and that screen's going to begin to do exactly what it's supposed to do. So join me in exercising a moment of faith, but let's recognize now our Hall of Fame, our Sports Hall of Fame award winners.
Jeffery Fields, a Jackson native and Jim Hill High School product, was selected a team captain during his sophomore season, one in which the Eagles won 10 games overall and set several records. The team won its first South State championship and earned a spot in the Mid-America Bowl in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was the Eagles' first bowl game in 30 years up to then. He finished the 1987 campaign with 65 tackles, with 42 of them solo, a spectacular total for a defensive lineman. His performance earned him first-team All-State, first-team All-Region, and second-team All-American, as well as being named Defensive MVP. His football career after Hines took him to Jonesboro, Arkansas, where he played for Arkansas State University. In 1991, he was selected in the 9th round of the NFL Draft by the Los Angeles Rams. Then he spent 3 seasons in the Canadian Football League and 1 season each with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. Since 1996, he has worked with CN in Baton Rouge, where he is a locomotive engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffery Fields.
The Alumni Association being nominated. I'd like to thank Dr. Muse. When Dr. Muse called me and gave me the information, I forgot what he was talking about because I was just so happy to hear from him and to talk to him. And I'd like to thank the coaching staff that was here when I was here, Coach Murphy, Ms. Dot Murphy, Coach Dykes, who passed away about a month ago, Coach Jackson. Coming to Hines, I think one of the best things I ever did in my life. I had a scholarship. I was going to Texas Southern, so I decided to come down here, and I talked to Coach Murphy, and he convinced me this is the place I need to be. And I was happy to be here. And the thing about Coach Murphy is that he, instead of being, I think, a great head coach, I think he's a great motivator, speech motivator. Coach Murphy had ways of motivating you, in many ways. It might have been Bomber Road, or it might have been a weight room at 5 o'clock in the morning, but you was gonna get it done. And it was just hard to imagine. Like, for instance, Coach Murphy, we was playing Pearl River. I mean, we was number 8 in the nation and number 1 in the state, and Pearl River was running the ball all down off the road. Coach Murphy called all his defensive linemen, the defense team in the showers. He came in there, he looked at all our eyes, and all of a sudden, one tear came down his eye. I looked at Leon Lett, and looked at James Gray. Did he just native cry us? Did he do the Indian thing to us with one tear down his eye? And we went out there and they didn't cross the 50-yard line the whole day. Coach Doc Murphy, another great coach, Coach Murphy's wife. When I first came here, it was the first time I ever seen a woman football coach before. It was like a unicorn, something you never see. And me thinking that a woman coach, what could she know about football? But when you crossed that white line, you knew she knew her business. And Coach Murphy knew she knew her business because every time she coached receivers. And when she coached receivers, a receiver drop a ball, Coach Murphy would go down the line and say, dot, dot, and she'll go right behind. We knew what was going to happen in the Murphy house that night. But I'm just thankful to be here. I'm just thankful to receive this award, and thank y'all very much.
Dwayne Green was a 3-year letterman at Forest Hill High School in Jackson when recruited by Hines soccer coach Tom Shepard in 1984. At Hines, Green played 3 seasons on the club soccer team and led the team in goals, with 90 of them in 36 games. At the time, the club soccer team played both club and varsity squads from 4-year schools. He continued his education and soccer career at Mississippi State University, where he was the Bulldogs' leading scorer, was player coach during his senior season, and earned a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. Currently, he is employed with the Federal Aviation Administration in Fayetteville, Georgia, as a lead program engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, Dwayne Green.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank the nominating committee and also Dr. Muse, just honored to be in your presence one more time. And Dr. Vasic, it's nice to meet the new president of Hines. I'd like to just start by just saying that when I first came to Hines, I never imagined that, being a little kid from South Jackson, that I even had a prayer of playing soccer on a collegiate level, much less being competitive on a collegiate level. And I became a vital component of the team, and it's had a lot to do with that man sitting down there, Tom Shepard. He was more than a coach to me. A lot of you guys know him as the guy that came up with the program that invented the program or started the program here at Hines. And I pretty much grew up with he and his kids, and grew up in the household with him and Michael and Louie and all my friends there. I became interested in soccer first in the 6th grade. I went up and I saw my older brother playing soccer, and I was like, I think I can do that sport. I was a pretty small kid. Football wasn't, I tried football, a little small for that. Tried basketball, I could shoot, but people blocked my shot, so I was too short. But one thing I did have is I had a lot of speed, and I didn't realize that until I started competing. I started running track in junior high, and I realized, hey, I'm faster than a lot of people, so that worked to my advantage. So I started playing soccer, and then I realized speed could be an advantage on a soccer field. And so that's why I was like, I could just outrun these guys. And that's pretty much what I did, honestly, for my career in high school. I didn't realize that, I didn't really have as much soccer skills as I thought. I was just outrunning everybody, and it was easy to score goals. So I got here to Hines. So Mr. Shepard got me on the field down there, and he was like, okay, so you've got the speed, we're going to use that to your advantage. You got to start working on your skills. And that's what I did. I built a soccer goal in my front yard. Small soccer goal. I dribbled between the trees. I used my mom's rose bushes as defenders. I'd shoot between trees and stuff, and I got pretty efficient, manipulating the ball. And then we built a kickboard at the end of Mr. Shepherd's driveway. It's just basically like a tennis rebound board where you kick the ball and it comes back to you to keep from having to go get it all the time. So I'd practice on that thing. I'd be up there at nights kicking. I'm sure the neighbors probably hated us. And then we also had another thing that we had at his house. We played front yard soccer, 3 versus 3. This became an annual event. We went from playing this as a fun event to an annual event where we played a tournament every year, and we all represented teams from around the nations because he had so many exchange students from all around the world at his house. He had people from Denmark, from Finland, from Norway, Sweden, Costa Rica, Mexico City, you name it. And so we had our own little World Cup, and a couple of years it was actually televised on LBT. They'd come out there and televise our tournaments. So all of these things kind of worked to get me to start developing the soccer player that I was. Well, when I got here, he basically told me that I need to just get my confidence level up and start taking on defenders, and that's what I did. And because of that, and because of all those years playing in those front yard tournaments and everything, I think that I developed a little bit more than I realized. And it was pretty easy for me to score down here because he was using me as part of his offense, and I was a vital part, and they'd feed me the ball a lot. So, I scored a lot of goals in those 3 years, but it had a lot to do with the people around me, and it had a lot to do with the coaching that I received down here too. One story I tell in particular that we always have fun talking about is I went on to Mississippi State, and I was a player coach up there, and we were playing Mississippi College over at MC one night, and he came over to watch us play. And so at the first half, I was going up for a header, and I basically cracked my head open with another player on another team, and I'm laying there, and I'm sitting there bleeding on the field. And they take me over to the sideline. He comes out of the stands, and he looks at me, and he goes, "I'll be back." Goes to his car, gets his first aid kit, puts stair strips on my eye, tapes my head up, and I'm looking half like a mummy walking around the field. And he sat there on the sideline, and he told me, he goes, "If you don't go back in, you guys aren't going to win." And I was like, "Okay." And so he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "What night is it?" I was like, "I don't know." I said, "We're at MC. That's all I know." And so I'll go back in the game, and he stayed down there on the sidelines because he was too scared to go back up in the stands because his wife Brenda was there, and she was a little upset that he was letting me go back in the game. And so I go back in the game, probably had a concussion, but we called them stingers back in the day. And and played and scored 2 goals, and we wound up beating them 3-2. And we tell this story because he always says, like after that, he goes, "All right, what do you do when we play Mississippi College?" He's like, "We win." "And what do you do?" "I always score." And so out of all my years that I played Mississippi College here at Hines and at Mississippi State, we never lost to them, and I always scored a goal. And so that was just something, one of the stories, many stories that we tell here. But the other thing is, I basically, outside of soccer, Hines basically shaped me to be the person I am today. My education started here. I started co-oping at Hines. I had to work through school. I co-op with Waterways over in Vicksburg, and so I worked my way through school. And it made me appreciate a whole lot more when I got out of school, basically my education and how I had to obtain it. But I had instructors here at Hines that basically, you can't beat them. Hines for me, it started my education, my upper level education. And the instructors I had here, everyone I had, it prepared me for Mississippi State and beyond, and it prepared me for life. And I like to just thank Hines for that. And last but not least, my mom and dad. They're the ones that put up with the guy out in the middle of the night playing soccer until 12 o'clock. They had to drag me inside because it was time to go to sleep. I'm practicing on my own in the front yard. But they put up with me. And I guess they basically said, "Hey, at least this guy's at home. He's enjoying his life." And I just like to thank you guys, tell you both I love you very much. And thank my wife, Janie. She's here today. I love you, baby. And that's it. Just Dr. Muse, I'm actually honored to be here, especially in this inductee class, knowing that it's your retirement and just being with you one more time. All right, thank you.
Phyllis Rhodes Krebs, a Pillahatchee native, came to Hinds in 1981 as a three-time all-sub-district and all-district and all-state basketball standout at East Rankin Academy, where she also played softball and ran track. Her basketball upbringing in high school was shaped while playing for her father, head coach Billy Rhodes, a 2013 inductee to the Hinds Sports Hall of Fame. At Hinds, she played 2 years for the Lady Eagles Hoopsters, averaging 14.5 points a game for her first season and 10 points a game for her second. She was the team's most valuable player and the first female recipient of the Eagle Award, the highest honor for an athlete at the college. She served as president of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society and secretary of the Student Government Programming Committee. She was also named to the Who's Who among American junior college students. After Hinds, she graduated with a degree in education from the University of Southern Mississippi and has been an educator herself at both Pearl and Brandon High Schools, then at Hartfield Academy, where she is the chair of the math department. Ladies and gentlemen, Phyllis Rhodes Krebs.
Thank you, Hall of Fame Committee, for this amazing honor. Never, ever would I have imagined this happening to me, and I am so humbled. This is way out of my comfort zone. I'm much more comfortable in a room full of students teaching mathematical concepts. Thank you, Hinds, for taking a chance on a country girl from a small school with a graduating class of 23. Stepping onto a college campus was quite the eye-opener. My time at Hinds was special and taught me so much more than what I learned in my classes. It not only paid for my first 2 years of my college education, but exposed me to some amazing teachers, coaches, and administrators. The teacher that had the greatest impact on me at Hinds was Miss Emma Beeman. Every math class I took, if she taught it, I worked the rest of my schedule around her. Her door was always open to help her students. She was a fixture around Hinds for many, many years. My parents also had the privilege of being her students. Like Miss Beeman, I am now teaching students whose parents I also taught. I taught math at Brandon High School for 29 years before retiring and am in my 6th year at Hartfield Academy. I have been blessed both places to have had amazing coworkers, administrators, and students to work with. I have jokingly said that the first student that tells me I taught their grandparents, I'm hanging it up. I hope that I have been half the teacher that Miss Beeman was to me. She definitely enhanced my love of math and modeled for me what an awesome teacher looks like in and out of the classroom. Coach Renee Warren was the head coach my freshman year, with Coach Black as her assistant. Coach Black was my head coach my sophomore year. This was quite an adjustment for me because my dad had always been my coach. I could usually tell what my dad was thinking just by looking at him. 2 of my goals, basketball-wise, were to give it all I had and to be coachable. I hope I didn't let him down. I remember running the road and going to the weight room before we even got in the gym. I recall Sunday afternoon practices. I have to confess, I didn't always look forward to those. Long bus rides to away games, getting back late and pulling myself out of bed to get to my 8 o'clock class the next morning. Playing defense under the goal and trying to block out players that were inches taller than me taught me tenacity and grit. I definitely learned to use my elbows and my backside. Another memory I have is the line to the coach's office every Friday morning to write down our grades for the week. There was often weeping and gnashing of teeth, but thankfully I was always in good shape as far as my grades were concerned. I'm grateful to both ladies for holding me accountable and pushing me not to only be a better basketball player, but for pouring into me and helping me grow as a person. I remember meeting Dr. Muse and being a little bit awestruck. I had just met the college president. He quickly put me at ease. I remember how welcoming he was and how every time after that first encounter I saw him, he always spoke to me and called me by name. It was not unusual at all to see him walking around the track or out and about around campus. Thank you, Dr. Muse, for all you've done for Hines through the years and for taking the time to speak to me and make me feel like Hines was a second home. I could go on, but I'll refrain. In closing, I want to thank Hines and all the great people I was fortunate to know during my time there, again, for taking a chance on me. My time there taught me responsibility, diligence, and how important a good work ethic is, just to name the first few things that come to mind. I try to carry these lessons with me daily and teach them to my students. My prayer has always been to be a stepping stone and not a stumbling block for my students. For me, Hines was full of stepping stones, and I will be forever grateful for my time there. Thank you.
Jeff Long of Meadville, a Clinton High School product, played shortstop and made All-State both of his seasons in Raymond. He was a team captain and part of history in 1989 when the Eagles won a fourth straight South Division title, their second Mississippi Association of Community and Junior Colleges title in a 3-year span, and took the college's first Region 23 championship. The 1989 Eagle baseball team became the first Mississippi Community College team to play in the JUCO World Series. He continued his collegiate baseball career at Delta State University, where he earned an All-Gulf South Conference and All-Region honors in 1991 and played for former Hines head baseball coach Bill Marchant. Later, he played semi-pro baseball for 9 years and was inducted into the Mississippi Semi-Pro Hall of Fame. He earned a master's degree in education from Delta State and in recent years has been a successful boys and girls soccer coach. His coaching stops include time at Warren Central, Clinton, and most recently, Franklin County High Schools. In 2009, he was named Coach of the Year by the Clarion Ledger. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Long.
Dr. Muse, thank you as well for that phone call. It's one I'll never forget, and I'll never forget my time here at Hines. I grew up a very shy young man. The speeches are not my strong point. The very first speech I gave, I pulled into the parking lot here at 8 a.m. and forgot that I had a speech. And so my father had bought me a brand new red Camaro. So I reached in the glove compartment and pulled out the brochure, and I literally stood in front of the class saying, you can buy a red one, you can buy a black one, you can buy a white one. Interior, you can get cloth, you can get leather. I squeezed by with a D+. But hopefully my speech will improve. Thank you to the Alumni Foundation and the board of directors, Coach Clark, Coach McQuitter, Coach Temple for your nominations. I'm deeply humbled to be part of such a distinguished group of great athletes as well as great people. I'm sitting there beside a former NFL player who's obviously a teammate and friends with Leon Lett of my Dallas Cowboys, who I used to be a good fan of, but they're not doing very good right now. I'm here tonight because of, and I was hoping somebody would cry because I haven't seen anybody cry yet, and I don't know if I can get through this without crying. But I'm here tonight from people believing in me. When I would come home from school, my mother would make me bring every book home. She taught me the value of academics. And we would go through every subject. And if there was a test I needed to study for, she had me study. And my academics success came from her. And after that, she would, if I couldn't get the friends in the neighborhood to play with me, she would have a bat in one hand and the glove in the other, and she would hit me countless ground balls, catching them, hitting me ground balls. After that, she would squat down like a catcher and let me pitch to her. When the webbing broke, she kept on. She'd catch it in the palm, except for the one time it slipped through and got her in the chin. She sacrificed for me, taking me to practices all over the country, playing various sports. She's the best person I know. Thank you to my sister, my brother. My brother videoed our great run of '89 with VH tape. I don't know if some of you youngsters know what VH tape is, but we wouldn't have any of that footage if it wasn't for my brother Mike, and he also coached me from a young age. My sister has supported me through athletics, and she still comes to soccer games. She's a huge fan. My two daughters are the light of my life. They have worn my number 11, and played for me, and have shined on and off the field. I'm so proud of them. My driver's license said 5'2", 95 pounds when I got that at age 15. So I had to work a little harder to get onto the field. And I recall opening day of baseball season my junior year in high school, as the coach called out the starters, my name wasn't called, and I peeked around the dugout to find my mother, and I believe it was the first time I ever seen her burn rubber. She had burned some rubber and was leaving the parking lot in disgust. I decided then that when I got my chance, I would prove myself. And the next game, the fifth inning, Coach Hutton said, "Jeff, you're hitting for John." I hit a first pitch fastball that was over the outside part of the plate, and I drove it into right center field. I ran through Coach's stop sign. He was telling me to hold up at second. I went on, slid head first in the third, and jumped up, and he said, "Attaboy." I didn't pay attention to his hand. I was too busy looking at my mama. I had made her proud, and I don't think I ever sat the bench again. When I walked on at Hines, there were 20-something second basemen lined up taking ground balls at second base. There was one shortstop. His name was Kenny Richey, and I believe he was a star player from the '87 squad of Coach Clark's state championship team, and I believe he had the game-winning hit in the state championship. Opening day, I was at shortstop, and Kenny Richey was at second base. And it was Coach Clark's belief in me that gave me that confidence and that drive to reach my fullest potential. The team in '89, if you've ever seen the movie Remember the Titans, we were the baseball version of that movie. However, we went further. We did things that no other team had ever accomplished. And we did so with a combination of two squads, one from Utica and one from Hines. Literally in our first few games, we traveled 2 games in 2 separate vans, a Hines van and a Utica van. We started out about 500, about 5 and 5. But because of Coach Clark's and Coach McQuitter's mentality and their focus and their drive, that team ended with a plane ride to Grand Junction, Colorado, for the first Mississippi team to make it to the World Series. And we were brothers. We were holding hands and hugging each other because a lot of them were scared to death because it was their first time to ride on an airplane. In coaching, I've basically done the same thing. I've just tried to instill confidence and belief in my players. My nephew Hunter, he wore number 11, and he guided the eras of 2005, 2006 to back-to-back state championships. And I've had success in the coaching field of soccer simply by getting players to believe in themselves, as my mother did for me, as Coach Clark did for me. Thank you.
Let's have another round of applause for all of our honorees. We have one more award we want to present tonight. Each year, the Mississippi Association of Community and Junior Colleges induct one representative from each community college into their Sports Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, the April event was canceled. Therefore, today, we want to honor and recognize our 2020 inductee into this prestigious statewide Sports Hall of Fame, Coach Doug Fowler. It is my honor to present this plaque and medallion to Coach Fowler on behalf of the Mississippi Association of Community and Junior Colleges. Now, I want all of you to turn page 12 in your program, and you're going to see Coach Fowler's many accomplishments. But I want to tell you a little something about the foundation he laid at Hines. He really started our track program at Hines. And today, I want to brag just a little bit. So many of our sports in the spring were canceled. But I want to talk just a little bit about Coach Reginald Dillon and our track team. For the 2020 NJCAA Indoor Nationals, our men and women are ranked 11th overall nationally. And we had 13 All-Americans and a national champion in high jumper, Carvel Todd. Coach Fowler's the one that started. He's the one who laid this foundation for track, and we are so proud to recognize him as our 2020 inductee into the Mississippi Community and Junior College Sports Hall of Fame. And before I sit down, there's another set of people I want to recommend. And they are probably the most important people to me and the most important to Hines in a lot of ways, because they're the ones who put on events like this tonight. And I want to recognize the foundation and the alumni staff. Many of them are probably not in this room because they're out doing something else, but I want to say a special thank you to Libby Posey, Kathy Price, Robin Birchfield, Sydney Love, and Leslie Moak for all that they do for this college. Would y'all help me thank them?
Well, that's it. This brings this part of our celebration to a close. I hope many of you will be able to stay for the football game where all of the honorees will be mentioned again and honored at halftime. Honorees, if you would mind, if you would stay on the stage for a few pictures. I want to thank you again for choosing to spend your afternoon with us. Hopefully, next year, the next time we gather for this, it'll be a normal Hines Alumni Sports Hall of Fame where we can hug, we can eat, we can fellowship. It's the Hines way of doing things. But thank you, college, for persevering, not quitting, and making it happen today. Congratulations again. Y'all all have a great day.